So far we've looked at chords 1, 4 and 5, so C, F, G for example. We've brought in the relative minor, A minor in this particular case, and we've looked at different inversions of them so we can get all sorts of different things going on, and we can start to adapt our ear. We can recognise things such as, for example, this is the same as this, and the same as this, in terms of the chordal structure of it. But now what we're going to do is we're going to introduce something a little bit different, which is the suspended notes and the suspended chords. Now, suspended notes and suspended chords refer to notes that you really want to resolve one way or another. So the way that we do it, let's start with the chords. Find a really easy suspended chord. There's two types that we can find: the suspended second and the suspended fourth. So we'll take our C major to start with. So that's a C, E, G going up. And what we do is we remove the middle note. Now that is a third in the C major scale. So 1, 2, 3. So what we do is we replace it with either the F, the fourth, or the D, the second. And then you get either a suspended fourth or a suspended second, respectively. So a suspended fourth would be C, F and G, and a suspended second would be C, D and G. So the reason that they're called suspended fourths and suspended seconds is because you really want them to resolve to the middle note again. Now that also works for minor, so in keeping with the chords that we have already covered, we'll do A minor. There's A minor. We'll take the middle note out, the third, C, take that out, replace it with the D, and that becomes A, D, E, so a suspended fourth, A suspended fourth, and that wants to resolve to, and it's all about that sense of lingering. Doing it the other way around, suspended seconds sound like, and resolve upwards. And if we did that with C suspended second, that would resolve upwards like that. So what I want you to do is to play around with those notes, but don't just play around with the notes within the scope of a chord. Think about playing them above the chord as well, because this is a very, very common thing that people use. It creates a little bit of a clash. So take, for example, a C major. Take the full chord, don't take the middle note out this time. But consider now that we're going to put a suspended note above it. So either a second or a fourth. And get used to how it sounds and how it resolves. Or the other way. And try it with the minors as well. And they're not necessarily something that you'd notice until somebody points them out to you, but they're used all the time in all sorts of different types of music, from ranging back to classical music to modern pop music, rock music, musical theatre. All sorts of genres use it, but really if you're just sort of playing a piece of music, you'll hear it all the time. So even if it starts out with a fairly straightforward melody. I put one in there already. G suspended 4 resolves to G, G major, and then back to C. So play around with the inversions of those as well, and see what you can come up with. So for example, that G that I just did was a D, G, C. That's a G suspended fourth, but obviously we're talking about it as a second inversion there. So it's the top note that resolves like that. But suspended chords and suspended notes are a great way to add a little bit of colour to your own music, but also when you start to recognise them and you start to hear that resolve, you'll start to really appreciate how they can add a little bit of interest to a melody. And you'll start to be able to hear them and pick them out more as well. So for example, a fairly common one that people do is this kind of thing. So there's your suspended second. Or they do it up to the third. And that can be replicated in the minor key as well. So a suspended second. And obviously we can do it with the fourths as well. So just to play you a couple more examples, we've got back to C. We can do it with, or we can go up. So yeah, play around with them because they are lovely and they're great things, and they're great for songwriting as well. So if you're thinking about writing any music or any songs of your own, they're great to incorporate into that just for a little bit of interest. But they'll certainly help you to develop your musical ear, because what you'll do is you'll start to be able to pick them out, whereas it otherwise might have been much more bog standard chords that you were doing. You know, they just add that little slight interest to the music and just make it that little bit better.